Artemis is Tigress.
What was I thinking? Wally and I really had something special together. Leaving the whole hero thing behind so we could just be normal. But when Nightwing called, I couldn't say yes fast enough.
I so want to kiss you now. Or maybe kill you for putting us through all this.
Hold that thought. You can decide later, when we're alone.
Warrior!
The Reach will leave this world.
But won't that leave behind evidence of our tampering with this planet?
No. Not after we destroy Earth.
Hi, this is Mark Morrell from ToonBarn. We're here at San Diego Comic-Con 2018. We're talking about Young Justice Outsiders, the third season of Young Justice coming out on the new DC Universe digital subscriber service.
Yeah. How many views did we have of the trailer after we released it, Brandon Vietti?
I think there might have been about 1 million views in like 24
no way.
hours.
What? That's crazy. That's just crazy. So we have already signed up and pre-ordered the digital subscriber service.
Thank you. Do that.
Yeah,
yes.
Thank you for your support. That's what we need. Hopefully, you know, fans were dying to get us back on the air, and they were able to reach out through social media, through streaming services, to let the powers that be know, hey, we're not done with the show yet. You need to make more. And now fans have this great opportunity with the DC Universe streaming service to subscribe and watch over and over again. Season 1, Season 2, Season 3, all the seasons will be on the DC Universe streaming service. And this is the way to show your support now. This is the way to guarantee that we could get a 4th season.
So is this 3rd season like totally on demand? I can watch it anytime I want?
Well, let's see. That information, I actually don't know yet. We just make the show. But it's up to the DC Universe folks to actually kind of put it out there. So I have not yet heard the details on exactly when the episodes will drop or how many episodes will drop. But DC Universe is where you're going to find it only. Yeah.
Troy.
Yes.
You were added to the cast.
Yes. This is what's fun. Vietti and I have worked together long enough, and when this opportunity for this character came around, he was like, let's throw it to Troy and see if he could do it. And what I love is that I'm used to playing iconic characters. And there's kind of like, you have to keep that within rails because there's a point where you can start breaking the character. When there's a character that a lot of people may not know about, that gives you a little bit more freedom. And especially within, Young Justice has created a universe within themselves that's very specific. So you have like this opportunity to really put this character that may be a little bit more obscure and put it into a very known universe and then see what that character looks inside that universe. So for me, that's like, as an actor, that's an amazing opportunity to build a character from the ground up. But as a fan, I'm freaking out. I am going through the moon that, first of all, that the show is back, and that I don't think there's ever been another time where I've been able to be a fan of something and come in and then be a cast member of it. Like that's never happened. Those are rare opportunities.
So we're talking about Geo-Force.
Yes.
Brion Markov.
Thank you for saying it correct. There's a lot of people like Brian. I'm like, well, we can make it a little more fancy. Yeah, you have Brion Markov, who's Geo-Force, and what we've seen kind of in the past with like season 1 and 2 of Young Justice is that these are characters that are passionately and intentionally trying to achieve their superhero status. Like that's what the whole day when we first started. Today is the day. Like we're excited about becoming superheroes. On the flip side of the coin, there's these people in the world where that have this metagene that all of a sudden fundamentally shakes up who they are. And Geo-Force is one of those people, or Brion is one of those people that greatness has been thrust upon me, and I don't necessarily know how to deal with that. And so introducing that dynamic into this world, to me, is incredibly compelling to find out how this person deals with that.
Can you describe his power?
Yes, yeah, of course we can. You know what Geo-Force is, right?
I think a lot of people know from the comics, and we've had to, like, he actually had quite a few powers in the comic books, and we've kind of had to select which ones we felt worked best for our show. So you'll see an evolution to the character as he progresses, as he starts to learn his metagene powers, and that's something I think fans who think they know the character, fans like that will really look forward to seeing how he evolves in our show.
There's a great little teaser, though. If you watch the trailer, you get a cool little sneak peek as to what he can do. Okay. I'll say that. There's a great little moment. I was like, aha! He looks pretty rad.
Okay. All right. So you've already recorded like the whole season, right?
Yeah, it's completely written, and we've done all of the acting for it is completely done. We've got 7 episodes actually completed, and several more are in-house being edited, and sounds being added, music's being added. Yeah, it's incredibly exciting to watch it all come together.
And I got to tell you, just the Young Justice Outsiders was enough for me to get the digital subscriber service. But there's so much more out there that they're going to have, like the Harley Quinn, Swamp Thing, you know, Titans, everything. But man, you've got a lot of Young Justice fans.
We hope so. We hope they'll all subscribe.
Please do that.
Yeah, and we look forward to seeing your character.
Me too, man. Thank you.
All right, so thank you for joining us on ToonBarn here at San Diego.
So for our third season, we wanted to bring in a different group of characters. We wanted to bring in characters that didn't necessarily know what they wanted to be when they grew up, didn't think about being heroes, didn't think about being villains, didn't think about having superpowers or meta powers. And we wanted to, after fleshing out a world full of characters with so many crazy powers and really fleshing out the DC universe in our second season, we were kind of thinking, wow, this is kind of a scary place that we've built when there are this many people running around with superpowers, some good, some bad, some being corrupted by, you know, different organizations and used as weapons of mass destruction. That's a very scary world, also with metahuman trafficking on top of it being a very real threat in the news headlines.
And you mentioned new characters, so Troy, you're playing Brion, Prince of Markovia.
Brion.
We don't really call him Brion.
Everybody does. But it's Brion.
Brion, sorry, Brion.
In the Markovian accent, it's Brion.
I'm curious, I mean, can you sort of give us a sort of a rundown of who he is and sort of what his deal is this season, I guess?
What is his deal? I'm a nerd, and I'm a comic book, yeah. And you talk about the fans that brought this show back. I'm one of those fans. Like, this is very, very seldom does it happen where you get to be a fan of something. You get to be a part of making something you're a fan of. I love this show, and the fact that I was not only I was excited that it was coming back, and the fact that I get to be a part of it is just like, you know, it was supposed to be way higher pitched. It didn't. Give me take two. There you go. Dogs are going, dude. But I kind of pride myself in knowing a little bit about the DC universe, and I went, who? Like, I had to go and dig deep into who this is. Brion Markov he's aristocracy. He's someone who comes from noble birth, and as Brandon was talking about, you know, we've seen how these characters, like, you know who you want to be. Robin knew who he wanted to be. Aqualad knew who he wanted to be. There's two types of people in the world. There's ones that seek greatness and some that have greatness thrust upon them, and I think it's a really interesting premise or narrative story to experience what that looks like when it's thrust upon them. And Brion's one of those people that, even though he was born into greatness, there's a whole other level of greatness that's thrust upon him when he finds out that he has this metagene. And for me, I believe there's always something that's metaphorical, allegorical, whatever you want to say about this, that we all have something inside of us that we have to reconcile with. There's something that we think could be our greatest hindrance, it could be our greatest handicap, ends up being our true superpower. It's our greatest strength that we have. But to be able to serialize and narrativize that process for a character is one of the things I love about this show, because yeah, they're fighting big, you know, villains and monsters and tech and the light and everything, but for this, it also goes on the story of how these people are wrestling this inner struggle too, and there's not a lot of shows that really do that, so that's his deal.
And I think it was you, right?
Yeah, it was Brandon.
Brandon said, "Do you know Troy Baker?" And I said,
Well, yes. Well, yeah, it was definitely Brandon.
Despite knowing Troy Baker, to my credit, I still said yes.
Vietti and I have worked together on the Lego stuff, and like, he and I can just, we're the guys that on breaks, we're out in the coffee room, like, going, yo, of course, in issue 74, yes. Like, we can, like, go hardcore nerd together. And that's the greatest compliment ever, is to ever be thought of as a solution to a problem. It's like, all right, we got to cast this, and there's a number of people that could do this, but the fact that you knew that I was a fan, knew that I was a nerd, and were like, he can't screw it up too bad.
How bad could he be?
Yeah, and that was awesome. That's my story.
And Troy, I'm curious, I mean, I guess how hard is it to do the accent?
That sounds like such a setup, Chip. How hard is it? It's not very hard at all. You just take what you think sounds like Russian and tweak it a little bit.
I will say this.
Don't clap. Don't clap. Don't encourage him.
Cat Grant reporting live from the Markovian Royal Palace.
Meta-human trafficking is an international scourge. Children and teens are being abducted.
The way our daughter was abducted.
There's a meta-human trafficking syndicate in Markovia that we can shut down with your help.
Itzy, big!
When it's all over, we go our separate ways. No muss, no fuss.
Prince Brion, you tested positive for the meta-gene. Princess Tara would likely have tested positive as well.
Which explains why she was taken. Something daring must be done if I am to save Markovia. Metagene activated. Let's see what we've got.
Seems ticked off. Ticked?